Okay, so I'm going to show you this really cool looking particle system that moves in a perfect seamless loop. And I'm also going to show you how you can create different kinds of looks onto these particles as well. Just a little extra trick. And if you want to learn how to create this light effect here, we'll leave a link in the description. You can go and check out that video. So if you want to follow along here, just go into mesh and then bring in a circle and then jump into edit mode and go F like that. So now we can just select this circle here and go into particle properties and click onto this little plus icon here. So what we're going to do to make this loop is duplicating this particle system with a second particle system. So we want the first particle system to start somewhere over here and in the middle of the timeline and overlap with the second one. So let's set the frame start to -500 since we are dealing with, I'm going to change the frame number here to 1000 frames. So since we are working with 1000 frames, we can set the frame start to -500. And then we want to set the end. So this is when the particles are going to stop, or the particle system is going to stop emitting particles. So let's just set this to 500 as well. And we can set the lifetime of these particles also to 500. Now what we want to do is scroll all the way down and set the gravity to 0. So now we have this thing with these empties coming out in both directions. So this is actually a particle system that is messing up. And if you're working with particle system, I promise you, your particle system is going to hiccup from time to time. And the way to fix that is to go to the number here in the emission section and just change the number like that. And then jump back to the first frame, and now your particle system will be fine. So now we have this effect here. So we want to change these empties here into a certain object. And keep in mind, you can do this with any kind of object. So if you want to have floating ducks or cars or apples coming out of this particle system, you can do that. So let's just go mesh here and bring in a UV sphere, go shade smooth and just move it a little bit to the side. And I'm also going to scale it down and go Control in A and apply all transforms, and then right click onto it and set the origin to geometry. So this size here will also determine the scale of the particles. So now we can select the particle system. We can go down to render. So render here, and we're going to change it to object, and we're just going to use the eyedropper tool and select our object like that. And the second thing that we want to do is make this go in a perfect loop. And the way we can do that is go down to the little drop down thing here, click on that and go duplicate the particle system, and then select the second particle system, and also remember to click here and set a new particle setting. So now these two particle systems are different but have the exact same values. Now we want this second particle system to start off in the middle here and end somewhere here so we can overlap it. So let's set the frame start to 500, and at this end number, here's the trick to make this little bit complicated thing work. So if you're playing around with different numbers here in the timeline, just make sure that you take the frame start number and multiply it with 3. So if you're dealing with 2000 frames here, you want that to be, the end number to be 6,000. And since we are using 1,000 frames, we want the end number to be 1,500, like that. So now we may have to reset the particle system, make this work in a perfect loop. If we go to the end here, we can see that when it comes back to the beginning, this works in a perfect seamless loop. And what I'm also been doing to make this effect of this particle system, where all of these circles or balls or whatever this is are stopping at a certain point, is to play around with the speed of these particles. So if you go down to, let's just select the first particle system here and go down to integration physics here, and open up the integration like that, and we can play around with this time step number. So if you set this time step number to a lower amount, the particle will move slowly or slower. If you set it to a higher amount, they will move faster. So let's just set this to 0.009, like that. Then we have to do the exact same with the second particle system to make this loop. So we're going to go down to the time step here and set this to 0.009, like that. Now you can see that we have this really cool looking effect, just like this. So the next thing here is just to create a material tool onto this ball. So we can just go new and then just delete this principal BSDF, and then just bring in a emission node and connect the emission into the surface. And I think we can set this to 2, like that. So I'm just going to bring everything back here and jump into render mode. And I'm going to show you this really cool trick now to how we can make these particles look pretty cool and how we can make them into different styles. So let's see what happens here. So I'm just gonna have a little sip of coffee. It's morning time in Norway, and I'm about to go to work. But before that, I'm gonna create a particle system. So now we have this thing here. And the really cool trick we can do to make this particle look way more interesting. The first thing we can do is actually go down to the render section here, and we can bring up the scale to 1. And we need to do that with the first one as well. So bring the scale of randomness all the way to 1. And now these particles have different size, like this. And from here, you can just easily change the color of these particles, like this. But we also can do this little trick that I'm talking about, is bringing in an emission image texture node, like that. And then just open it up. Then just select an interesting image with a bit of color. So let's just go with this flower thing here. Now we can just connect the color into the strength of the emission, like that. Now we have this thing. So just to make these particles look a little bit different, so just go around and play a little bit with a couple of different images here. And the second thing that I want to show you here is that if we just duplicate this particle here, and we can go and click on new material tool, So we have two different particles, and then on the second one here, we can just bring in a hue saturation value node, and then just change the color. You also can do here is click on this image texture and go Ctrl-T and bring in a texture coordinate and a mapping node and change this to generate. So now this image is more precisely wrapped around this ball, and we can just play around with all of these values here. And the scale if you want to do that. So I'm just going to duplicate this one more time, and I'm just going to change this pretty quick and a different color. And now what we can do is just box select these different objects and go M and new collection, and I'm just going to type in some random name like that. And now we can make this particle system emit these three different materials. So let's just select the particle system here, and if you go down to object and the render here, we can just change this from object into collection, and then just pick the name like that. And we need to do this at both of these particle system. So down to collection, and then just open up this box and click on the name that you wrote in. So now if you go back to the first frame, we can see that we suddenly have a little bit more interesting and complex look to our particle system here. And from here you can also play around with the scale. Just keep in mind that you need to do it with both of these. Okay, so now this is hicking up, but you get the point. So let me just reset it and also change the scale. So let's just go 0.2 and 0.2, and there we go. Okay, so a little bit messing up here at the end, but I think you got the point here. And just keep in mind that these particle systems here needs to have the exact same values, but the end number and the frame start need to be different. Okay, so like and subscribe, have a great day, and I'm off to work.